I'm just standing in this zone because I can see out to the right and the left.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight to learn about what is Expo and what to expect from Expo. Thank you those who have joined us online and those who have joined us in person. If you have not already done so, if you could please scan the QR code to sign into our virtual event. Keeping track of attendance of these events is very important for our federal funding. So you can go ahead and advance the slide. So tonight we're going to explore what is Expo. And by the end of the session, you're going to be able to describe the two different types of expos we hold here at NEAT, and also the general format that each of these expos involves. And you'll have a better understanding of our long-term vision for Expo, for the school and for our students and for their growth and development. So why Expo?
Each year we hold our Expo because we value professionalism, and our goal as a school is to create employable citizens for our community. And in doing so, the students in their classrooms get a chance to practice presentations, creating, making, doing, and developing those professional skills with technology that are needed in our community. So you notice on the screen there's a quote there. It said 50% of the employers who tried to hire in the past year had difficulty. They have a very specific set of skills that they are looking for in our particular communities. And working with us through the community, they help us through informing us what's needed, and then we add it to our classes.
So those employability skills that our local area businesses and business in general are looking to have students be better prepared with as they enter the workforce are both verbal and nonverbal communication, professionalism in general, creativity, being able to work in teams, and being able to hold accountability to your team and to your supervisor. And be able to have those higher level thinking skills that allow you to solve those deep problems that employers are looking for. So these are the skills that we practice through Expo, through the student presentations. When they present their learning, they're learning how to make those professional presentations and having an opportunity to practice those each year. So by the time they graduate, they're able to enter the workforce with solid skill sets.
So at our Winter Expo, it's the opportunity for the community, the families, aunts, uncles, potential donors, new recruits for students to come out and take a look at what we do all year. So at that point, the families come out and they get to see all the different projects that have been done in the first semester, the items that the students have built, made, created, produced, and they have the opportunity to ask questions about the types of things that go on in our classrooms and the types of things that we learn. So our Winter Expo is the big event that invites the whole community in. We usually have somewhere between 1,000 to 2,000 attendees each year. We do have stakeholders of all ranges, little brothers and little sisters, grandparents, community members, employers, and our business partners always make the opportunity to come out and meet our students so that when they're learning about those who are coming in for internships, they actually can put a name to the face. The PBLs that the students are doing in their classrooms, their project-based learning activities, their passion projects, internships, all of these are showcased on this night. They do focus on interacting with a diverse group of people. When we are preparing our students, we explain to them that they need to know their audience when they're speaking and presenting. So as you come through, the younger brothers and sisters will still be able to understand the project just as well as an industry expert would, because the students have practiced leveling their presentations to meet the needs of their audience. That's an advanced professional skill that our students begin working on as early as 5th grade. So team presentations are welcomed. You will see your student or your friend performing with their group, talking about their group project and how they interact and collaborate. And you may even see some individual projects because these are often geared towards the passion of the students. And so some students have a passion that's very different than others, and that's okay. Spring Expo.
For our Spring Expo, it's a much smaller event. They usually take place in the classroom or in small group gatherings. They're individual presentations, and then during the Spring Expo, students are presenting what they have learned, how they have grown, what they've accomplished over the entire year, usually through a portfolio type presentation. And we invite parents and industries and representatives from the community to come to these, but it's a small, more intimate setting for these presentations. And each year, a student will do a presentation or portfolio in the spring to demonstrate the knowledge that they have gained over the year. So what should I expect from Expo? So these are pictures from past expos. These are our large winter expos where you see a gathering of large numbers of people. We're excited this year we actually get to do it in our own building. So the vision for Expo during the winter is really kind of an interview process. So when we invite our guests in, the students make the presentation, and we want the community members to be asking questions, to be inquiring about their presentations, about their projects, and about the things that they have created. We want it to be like an interview type process. We want them to note employability skills, and we want to see growth within their projects. And so we want the businesses to be able to give feedback to these students so they know where they need to grow and continue to master skills to be active and be able to be successful within the employment in their community.
Well, I guess the thing that I would add here would be more of, as a parent at home, wanting to know how you can help your student with their expo when it comes to the vision and the fact that it is an interview. Get your student to practice introducing themselves to you, making eye contact just as they would be expected to do in an interview. Although we are in the middle of COVID and we don't generally shake people's hands these days, at home, let them know you would normally shake your employer's hand, make eye contact, introduce yourself, and then begin to explain why you're there and why you can benefit their program or their place of employment with your presence and your skills.
So what are some expectations for our Expo? We do expect all students will attend and present at Expo. That is a standard for every student at NEAT. That's for college kids all the way down to 5th grade. We expect that our students will come professionally dressed to the best of their ability. And we expect that they will also participate in the virtual days. We're about to show an alternative schedule for those few days. We expect that they'll participate in the virtual learning days and the Friday asynchronous assignment as well. So we do have an alternative schedule for Expo days. Expo will be February 2nd, February 3rd. On February 2nd, middle grade students will come to the school building. However, the school day will start late. We'll start at 1:15, and students will have a chance to practice and prepare for Expo and set up their booths. And then we'll have the actual Expo from 5 to 7. We will be providing meals for the students and snacks so that they don't go hungry the whole day. School doors will not open till 12:30, so we ask parents to please be prepared for that fact, that you will need to get your students either to the bus stop or to school at a different time on February 2nd and February 3rd. For high school students on February 2nd, they will have a remote learning day. It will start at our typical 8:15, and it will be a half a day. And then the schedule flips on February 3rd, which is a Thursday. The middle school students will be remote. Their day will start at 8:15, and they'll have live sessions with their coaches. And the high school will come to the school building at 1:15 and prepare for Expo, and then have Expo from 5 to 7. On both of these days, there is only transportation to school. There is not transportation home. So it is expected that parents will come to Expo and engage with their students, and then at the end of Expo, take them home. On Friday, February 4th, all students will take part in remote learning protocols. So they will have an assignment to do, an asynchronous assignment to do for their coaches. Do we have any questions or anything that people need clarification about as far as Expo, what it is, or the Expo days? Does everybody feel like they have enough information to understand what's going on Expo? Great.
Can I jump in for just a second? Just for those of you who are new, especially I guess grades 5 through 7, you would have only done the virtual Expo last year, so this one will be very different for you. As a family at home helping students to prepare for Expo, the students already done the project in school. So there shouldn't be a new project being done at home. They shouldn't have a whole lot at home to do other than maybe just listening to them while they practice what we call an elevator speech. As families and community members come through to look at the different projects, they'll keep winding their way through the maze. And so you'll only stop off at a project for just a couple of moments. And the students are expected to be able to introduce themselves to you confidently, making eye contact, and then tell you what they did, why they did it, how it applies to school, and what they learned from it. Those are the 3 biggest things. What did you do? Why did you do it? And what did you learn from it? And a lot of times the answers to the what did you learn from it may not always the first thing be an academic answer from the student. It may be that they learned how to work with other people, or they learned how to meet deadlines, or that they learned how to use different types of materials to build or make or do something. And that's okay, because those are still really important skills that we may not always be able to measure immediately on a skills-based checklist for academics. So keep asking those questions. What did you do? Well, how did you learn how to use that tool? Did you learn about tool safety? So the questions that you might find in an adult interview will pertain to some of our older students, but just asking those questions about what did you do, what did you learn? Well, if you had a chance to do it differently next time, what might you do differently? Those questions do show up in regular interviews for employment, as many of us know. And so it's okay to start asking your 5th and 6th and 7th graders those questions. So I've asked them, as I've worked with some of the students throughout the building, have at least a 30-second elevator speech that answers those 3 questions at a bare minimum and introduces yourself, to up to about a 2.5-minute presentation that goes in depth, just in case people ask questions. That way the students are comfortable with telling about what they did and being in a crowd and having to speak to strangers. I think that that could be probably the most beneficial help that they could get at home, is just the opportunities to answer questions about what they did and to have to think about the types of questions that the community members may ask. We are practicing these in and out of our classes during flight time and providing feedback to our students, from student to student, coaches to student, and such. But you're welcome to help them give feedback at home too, so that they can be the strongest interviewee that they can possibly be at Expo.
I just want to emphasize what Deb said about the projects. We are not creating new projects, especially at the younger grades. These are projects that the students have already created and already completed. They might be presenting information about a project, but they're not doing something new. We're not running to, look up new information. We're working on something that's already been done in class and learning how to present that information at Expo.
And you mentioned product. I don't think I didn't mention about what a product might look like. A product could be a brochure they made in class that they could just point to and explain about when the person comes through. It could be a model they built. It could be an essay they've written. It could be a sculpture they've made or an artwork that they've done in one of their engineering design classes. A poster. Any of those would work. So the mindset of creating the trifold, and you have to have a trifold and lay it out, that isn't really what's happening in the job fairs of today. We've been doing our research. People are walking in with a single sheet of paper as a resume. They're only doing a front and back. They've condensed the resumes these days. And so for interviews, they literally have that one product, that single pager front and back, and then they answer their interview questions at the job fairs that are being held. So products may look different. It's not going to look like what we would have done in science fair when we were in school. You probably won't see any trifolds. You might see a slide deck. You might see a Prezi presentation. You might see a self-made video from the student at like a kiosk station, brochures, models. Wow, there's so many things they could choose from. So it could even be a recipe they've created or a recipe book or a book they've written that they'll be sharing and talking from. So don't let that throw you if you don't see, just the posters standing up as they come through.
Any questions?
That was my big question, was the trifold thing. Like, do we have to help them make a presentation?
No, they are working on how they're presenting these PBLs, projects, fashion projects, and they're working on that in class. So they should not be coming home and saying, "Mom, I need you to buy me this to make that." They are working on these in school.
Yes, that's also one of the benefits of having coaches who are parents. We know what that feels like the night before something's due, and at like 8 o'clock they say, "Oh man, I need a poster board and I'm gonna need markers." And you're like, seriously? So no, this is not that. This is on your student. This is about your student's ability to manage deadlines and work with a team and work with a coach who's their advisor. So this should be a time when they sparkle and shine and you just show up. So other than going, "Hey, how's it going? Well, what did you learn from it?" Tossing in those conversations, just practicing. You should not have any other responsibilities at home. And don't let that munchkin convince you otherwise.
Any other questions? That was a really great question.
Yeah.
What about dress code?
We ask that the students dress as professionally as they can. If you, business wear is what we're looking for, business casual. If your family has difficulties meeting that need, you can contact Carrie Chappell, and she can help mitigate those circumstances for you. But dressing the best that you can.
And some fellas asked me this morning, what does that mean? And so I said dress pants, and if you've got it a dress shirt and a tie, that would be lovely. If you don't, at least a polo shirt. So go collared shirts. I told them the bare minimum was a collared shirt. We were aiming to steer clear of jeans and t-shirts, if at all possible. And then the young lady said, "I don't even think I own a dress." That's okay. A nice pair of dress pants and a nice blouse, that's perfectly fine. Stand up tall, smile, and you'll be fine.
Great question. Thank you for asking. Any other questions from either our online or in person?
Yes, ma'am. Am I correct that they already are working on this in school?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Your student is already working on their Expo projects in school. And they'll be practicing presentations in school. So the majority, and I mean majority of the work, will be done within the school building.
Thank you.
I do know the 5th through 8th grade have about 30 minutes a day that they're working on it during their flight time. And the high schoolers are using their advisory Monday through Thursday when they meet, that time from 11 o'clock to 12:30 every day. The high schoolers are doing it during school. So that's the time frame that your students are having.
Any other questions? That was a great question. Thank you.
That's a good question.
If you don't have any other questions, if you're able, if you could scan the QR code that's on your screen right now and provide feedback on how tonight's event, did it meet your needs and what areas did it meet your needs with? And we'd appreciate that feedback so we can continue to make our Title I Parent Education Nights as productive and as much as what you need as a parent as possible.